The story begins with the protagonist looking beaten. Someone towered over him, sneering. "Hey, failure! What are you doing?" A girl said, "Hurry up and steal the curse on Lord Arthur." Even at his limit, he still uses his magic. He reached out, his hand glowing with purple energy. This guy's name is Crash Valheim, a failure born into the strongest bloodline. He used his Blackhood skill to break the curse. Purple energy crackled around Crash, the power of the stolen curse surging through him. The stolen curse energy began to take form. A skill that can steal curses, heroes standing against the world's destruction from the encroaching invasion. The man who became one of the Azure generation. While Crash was on the ground, everyone worried about Arthur and offered him a potion. Arthur, bloodied and exhausted, looked up. The Blue Knight of Death descends, riding a nightmarish steed. The skull-faced knight looms, a single blue eye burning with cold fire. Battlefield erupts as the knight's power slams into the earth. Arthur asks, "We're supposed to fight the Blue Knight of Death with this many people?" The knight's power sends a sword flying. Crash calls out, "Sigrin, Abella, Mary, everyone over here." Group desperately calls out, "Ah, Lord Arthur, Lord Arthur, Lord Arthur." "Arthur?" Crash stares up at him, enraged. "What the hell are you doing, bastard?" Arthur's eyes are shadowed, and blood drips from his mouth. "I'm ending this." Crash watches as Arthur declares, "This world's hope has been extinguished. All that's left is destruction." Crash grits his teeth. "You're giving up?" A woman's voice cuts through the tension. "Do you have any idea how many people sacrificed to get you here?" Crash is met with another furious outburst. "Did hanging around with women all the time finally drive you insane?" The woman shouts, "Silence, Crash." She continues, her voice filled with conviction. "Arthur did everything he could." Sigrin Ephania, third princess of the Ephania Empire, Azure generation. Sigrin Ephania spits out her next words. "You're trash who can only steal things, don't you dare lecture Arthur." Crash looks back at her, dumbfounded. "Huh? Trash? That's rich coming from you." Crash, hand outstretched, declares, "How dare you say that to your savior?" He recalls a scene of carnage, making his point clear. "None of you would have made it this far without my skill." Crash continues to berate the group. "Don't remember? Let me refresh your memory. First, Abella." The scene shifts to Abella, the Red Witch from the Magic Tower, concerned about Arthur, the blonde man. Crash recalls Abella begging him to steal her curse. "You couldn't use magic without your voice. You begged me so much to steal that curse." He remembers being attacked while suffering from her curse. "While I was suffering from your curse, you attacked me when I went to get painkillers. And back then, just like now." A close-up of Abella shows her looking down, upset. Crash concludes, "Your attitude of ignoring people hasn't changed one bit." Crash continues his tirade, remembering the faces of those he aided. "And next to you is the Empire's strongest spear, Mary Diana, Knight of the Ephania Empire, Azure generation." He scoffs, recalling Mary Diana as a brainless fool who acts without thinking, getting cursed by everything and crying and wailing for me to steal the curses. Crash's anger is palpable as he continues, "And the princess who calls her savior trash after he sacrificed his own eyes. Do you understand what I went through helping you?" He recalls the princess's past actions. "Even though you from the Staron Kingdom faction targeted me at the academy." Crash remembers being bullied relentlessly. "Look at that failure. He can't even fight back." Those around him whisper, "Is he really a Valheim? No way, right?" Crash's memories flood back as he thinks, "I endured it all and healed your eyes because you were one of the Azure generation who would save the world." He remembers his own perceived shortcomings. "And I was a disgrace to the kingdom, a useless failure who couldn't even fight." His voice cracks with frustration as he shouts, "So all this time I've been cleaning up after you people. What the hell was it all for?" Crash looks up at Arthur, his voice filled with a mix of anger and disappointment. "Anyone else, sure, but you could have saved the world. Arthur," he recalls his past hopes. "If only you had led those fools." Crash remembers the moment he decided to support Arthur. "I watched you stand at the front lines of the Azure generation, and I decided in my heart to stay by your side." Arthur lies defeated, his eyes staring blankly at the sky above. "So why are you giving up so easily at the end?" He struggles to speak, blood trickling from his mouth. "I guess I can tell you now." Arthur reveals his shocking plan, his voice weak but resolute. "Like I said, this world is already finished, so I'm going to start over from the beginning." Crash's expression twists in disbelief. "Start over?" Arthur continues, explaining the horrifying truth. "That's right. This isn't the first time I've experienced the world's destruction because..." The truth hits Crash like a physical blow as Arthur reveals his ultimate ability. "My skill is regression." Arthur reveals that this time, by acquiring the memory inheritance technique, those guys can also regress while keeping their memories. He believes that if everyone could start over with their accumulated experience, then the probability of preventing destruction in the next world would be exactly. Arthur declares, "I'll start from the beginning again with these three." Crash's eyes widen in shock and betrayal. What about me?" Arthur's smile is cold and dismissive. Crash is stunned by Arthur's cold declaration. You're not needed, he says with finality. Arthur continues his explanation. Sure, your skill Black Hood can even steal curses so strong they're practically unbreakable. So yeah, it has its uses. But even if we rewind time with you worn out, body and mind in ruins, what's the point of bringing that version of you back? Wouldn't it be far more efficient to take you again, fresh, clean, and untouched? Crash's eyes widen in horror, tears welling up as he realizes the full extent of Arthur's betrayal. Crash realized he was just like a disposable item, someone Arthur planned to use and throw away from the start. Arthur, towering over him, declared, "Don't worry, I'll use you in the next world and the one after that too." Arthur turned to leave, callously saying, "See you again, Crash." Crash reached out, his mind reeling. Wait, deep down, I knew it all along. He thought back to how Arthur had stood by while the Azure generation ignored him, a sign that Arthur never considered him a true companion. He desperately screamed, "Take me with you, you bastard!" Crash felt his consciousness fading as the accumulated curses took their toll. My consciousness fades as the accumulated curses take their toll. At this rate, my life will end before this world does. I wouldn't let it end like this. I won't let it end like this. Crash realized Black Hood didn't just steal curses, it worked on skills too. Black Hood doesn't just steal curses, it works on skills too. I've never tried it on Arthur because skills aren't as easy to steal as curses. It was worth a shot. But it's worth a shot. Skill, Black Hood. Crash activated his skill, and a surge of dark energy shot toward Arthur. Arthur stood with his arms outstretched, seemingly unaware of the danger approaching him. Crash unleashed Black Hood, a dark tendril shooting towards Arthur. The dark energy engulfed the blonde man. Crash, battered and bruised, was barely conscious. Huh! The dark energy continued to envelop Arthur. Then, Arthur's voice echoed in the darkness. Arthur. Arthur's eyes narrowed. Crash, you still haven't given up? Arthur's voice echoed in the darkness, dripping with resentment. You've experienced countless destructions, he continued, his words laced with bitterness. And each time, you left behind the used-up version of me in worlds about to be destroyed, over and over again. How many times have I felt despair? Arthur's expression shifted, a chilling calm washing over him. But this time, you're the one being left behind. Crash, barely conscious, looked up at him. Crash smirked weakly, blood trickling from his lips. He admitted, "Maybe I have." Crash's expression hardened as he stared down Arthur. "You said this world would only face destruction, right?" Crash's vision blurred, the last thing he saw being Arthur's face. Arthur towered over him, declaring, "If you don't want to die, struggle on your own." Energy surged around Arthur, bathing everything in an ominous light. His words echoed in the void. "I'll be the one to save the next world." Crash's eyes snapped open. He was alive. Crash screamed. He stammered, This is. He recognized the place. "The house I lived in when I was little, isn't it?" A screen flashed before him. Crash Valheim, age 15. Regression complete. He commented, I'm not that young though. It creates an erosion zone. When world erosion occurs, environmental changes happen and erosion species invade from other worlds. Among them, the ones that resemble humans are called world invaders. It's an invader. Run! Report to the knights, and those who stand against the world erosion. A golden staff crackles with energy. Combat begins. Are called the Azure Generation, and I, with a body that could only seal away curses, joined the Azure Generation. Was treated as a curse receptacle, then betrayed by my companions. It really was a miserable life. Crash's eyes snapped open. Ha! He sat up, looking around the opulent room in disbelief. This is my room? He touched his face, feeling sweat on his brow. It was the dead of winter just moments ago, but now it's summer. Hot enough to make me sweat. He took in the familiar surroundings. If I'm at the Blue Pine Hall where I stayed as a child. He remembered his last act before everything changed. Back then, as a last gamble I used Black Hood on Arthur and Crash stared at his hand, a dark aura still swirling around it. I actually managed to steal the regression skill. He smirked, a chilling laugh escaping his lips. Ha! Crash tilted his head, pondering how he managed to pull it off. But, how was I able to steal it? He began to explain the mechanics of his skill. People tend to think Black Hood is a skill that can be used freely without any restrictions. Crash paused, a glint in his eye. But it has an obvious flaw. He elaborated on the weakness of Black Hood. If Black Hood can unlock the lock generated when the skill activates, then I can steal that target. Crash continued to analyze the Black Hood skill, explaining that lock is generated based on the value determined by the target's owner, even if it's just a stone picked up on the street, if the owner considers it precious. He continued illustrating the difficulty. Unlock condition. Transfer 99% of the world's wealth to the owner. The difficulty increases. Crash elaborated on the risk. Therefore, things the opponent values highly, like skills, are far more difficult to steal. He furrowed his brow. The higher the value, the more conditions there are, and the difficulty should increase too. But, suddenly, Arthur, looking menacing, demanded, "What's going on?" Crash recalled the moment he stole the skill. I knew Black Hood activated back then, but I couldn't see a lock. If there wasn't even a lock, does that mean he actually wanted to abandon the skill? That Arthur, who was called the Hero King, wanted to discard the regression skill. To think of it, Arthur sometimes occasionally wore an exhausted expression and just moved around like he was completing homework. If he had been repeating the world's destruction over and over again, all alone, are you full of yourself? Acting like you're saving the world all by yourself, he couldn't have stayed sane. Maybe for Arthur, regression was the same as a curse. So Arthur had those three inherit their memories and tried to regress together with them, leaving me out. The fact that I could steal the skill with Black Hood means the Arthur I knew lost his regression skill and was left behind in that world on the brink of destruction, collided with the blue night of death's meteor shower, and died. I stole the skill he so desperately wanted to throw away, so he should be thanking me instead. Haha. Crash thinks to himself, always leaving me out like receiving guesses was something anyone could do, never caring about the suffering companion. Crash smiles sinisterly. Serves you right, you bastard. Crash is in Blue Pine Hall and thinks it's small. Before leaving my room, I checked my reflection in the mirror. He notes that his age is probably around 10, short with a moderately muscular body. This is the result of swinging my sword every single day trying to survive in the Valheim family, the strongest martial house in the Staron Kingdom. Crash gazed out the window of Blue Pine Hall, realizing where he was. The fact that I'm at the Blue Pine Hall means this is after the proving ceremony when I was 10. Remembered the Valheim family's proving ceremony, which determined which lord you contracted with and what skill you were granted, as well as a place to prove your own abilities. The more excellent the contractor, the higher the lord's status rises. Direct descendants were always valued by the Valheim family, but he was the exception. Born with no martial strength or talent whatsoever, no lord chose him. After that, he was kicked out of the main house. Crash found himself at Blue Pine Hall, where failures were cast away. He thought to himself, and now, I'm the biggest failure in the Valheim family. Yet he was the only one who knew about the world's end. The end that even the Azure generation couldn't stop. He wondered, could I possibly stop it? The world's destruction? Crash stared out the window, his hand pressed against the glass. He slammed his fist against the window, resolving himself. Don't be a coward. He knew what he had to do. It's not about whether I can stop it, I have to stop it. If the world is destroyed, I'll die too. Crash steeled his resolve. There's no other choice. He glanced down, recognizing the approaching figure. And the first step to preventing destruction is, young master. Crash was surprised to see the butler. Ariad, what are you doing in a place like this? He's still alive at this point. Ariad, the Blue Pine Hall's only butler. Crash was surprised to see Ariad. Ariad, yes, young master? Ariad was the butler who took care of me, a failure, but Crash's expression darkened as he remembered the past. When are you planning to use the poison my brother gave you to kill me? His eyes widened, a sinister grin spreading across his face. Crash realized who Ariad truly was. The very person who poisoned me when I was 14 and taught me about betrayal for the first time in my life. Crash watched as the armored figure was sent flying through the air. The knights watched in stunned silence as the girl with the sword moved with blinding speed. Girl stood amidst the chaos she had wrought, a whirlwind of red and blue energy swirling around her. The onlookers were shocked at the display of power. She's only 15. The knights can't even lay a finger on her. It was Crash's half-sister, Charlotte Valheim. The title Sword Saint isn't just for show. How boring. The crowd whispered about her prodigious talent. I heard she's a once-in-a-millennium prodigy. That's right. That's why the family head has such high expectations for her. Verokin Valheim, Crash's half-brother, sat at his desk, a storm of resentment brewing within him. A genius born from a new bloodline, they say. Thanks to her, the Valheim family won't go extinct. His eyes widened, consumed by a burning rage. He muttered darkly, I'll wipe out that entire bloodline, but Charlotte is too risky. Her mother is also quite formidable. That leaves... He was interrupted by an attendant. Lord Verokin, what's wrong? Hey, keep it down. His thoughts turned to a more vulnerable target. The useless failure. I'll start by killing him. Verokin addressed the older man before him. Ariad, you're also... Ariad listened intently. Having trouble because Crash blocked your path to advancement, aren't you? Verokin dangles the solution before Ariad, a tempting proposition wrapped in a sinister bargain. If you make Crash drink just one drop of this, your daughter's treatment and money problems will all be solved, you know? Ariad, conflicted, hesitates, his face etched with worry as he thinks of the young master he's raised. What on earth are you hesitating about? Young Master Crash is someone I raised like my own son. How could I possibly? Verokin's voice drips with dark intent as he calls out to him. Ariad. Verokin's eyes narrow, pressing his advantage. Are you saying you'll choose someone else's child over your own daughter? The camera zooms in on Ariad's face, a close-up of his conflicted expression. A single word escapes his lips, a reluctant agreement. No. The poisoned stew sits on the plate, nearly untouched, with only a few drops of blood marring the pristine white surface. Crash, barely clinging to consciousness, looks up in disbelief. Ariad. Ariad clutches at Crash, his face contorted with regret. I'm so sorry, young Master Crash. Scene flashes back to the day before Crash's regression, when Ariad attempted the assassination. Young Master Crash is also precious to me like a son. Ariad's hand falls limply to the floor. The panel pulls back to show Ariad collapsed on the floor. What have I done? Unable to bear the guilt, Ariad stole and ate the poison stew himself, and left this world. Crash's eyes burn with intensity as he confronts the man before him. When are you planning to use the poison my brother gave you to kill me? Crash's face is a mask of fury. The man, taken aback, stammers in response. Poison, what are you? Are you going to play dumb? You were going to sacrifice me, a failure, for your daughter. Crash's father looks away, guilt etched on his face. Did you think I wouldn't know? Crash's expression hardens, a dangerous glint in his eyes. If I keep this up, I'll push him to the edge again. Anyway, if you're going to play dumb, I can't help it. Crash turns away, his voice tinged with a hint of self-pity. If I hadn't been a failure from the start, you wouldn't have been given such orders in the first place. Crash's father had expected a different reaction. I thought if he found out I betrayed him, he'd blame himself or cry and get angry, but instead Crash simply says, just come with me. Crash's father is taken aback. Young Master Crash has changed. Crash gestures towards the study. Why the study all of a sudden, Ariad? Crash confidently orders, cut through this wall. Excuse me. Crash, with a confident smirk, declares, a Valheim family butler should find this easy, right? Of course. He takes a step forward, his polished shoes gleaming. Crash raises his sword high, ready to strike. The blade glows with a menacing blue light. With a swift motion, he slices through the wall. The wall now has a clean cut. Oh, what a clean cut, Crash observes. Ariad exclaims that there's a passage, and commends Crash for his work. There's a passage here. Well done, Ariad. Blonde man peers into the darkness. As I thought. Ariad is surprised by Crash's sudden change in demeanor. He's completely different from yesterday, so it was lit with moonlight pearls. He stares at the locked door, chains wrapped around it. An atmosphere oddly reminiscent of the family head. What on earth happened? Crash's eyes widen as he stares at the door. Brings back memories. He recalls the burning wreckage of his former home. Back then, everything had already burned down. Crash stared at the locked door, chains wrapped around it, recalling the burning wreckage of his former home. But this time I made it before that happened. Ariad stood beside him. Young master, shall I cut the chains too? Crash shook his head. No, you can't cut these chains. Crash grinned, ready to test his abilities. Now let me test my own abilities. Skill, Blackhood. The Blackhood skill manifested, shadowy tendrils reaching out towards the chains and lock. Crash focused his power, manipulating the lock with the stolen skill as Ariad looked on in shock. Crash strained, feeling the weight of the curse. My skills haven't gotten rusty. It's heavy. Ariad's eyes widened. Young master, did you make a contract with a lord? Crash recalled that at this point, he hadn't contracted yet. He stated that he had just contracted with some insignificant lord, and told Ariad to report to his father about the library if he wanted. Ariad stared in stunned silence. Ariad thought back to just yesterday, when the young master had eyes that seemed to have lost all meaning in life. He realized that Crash had changed overnight through a contract with a lord, and must have obtained a good skill. Ariad considered that Crash shares the same bloodline as the greatest genius born from Valheim, even if not on the level of Lady Charlotte, with young Master Crash as he is now. Crash listened to Ariad's words, young master. Ariad stood silently, hand over his heart. Crash considered Ariad's change of heart. At least until whatever you're trying to do is finished. I won't tell anyone, so this is profession's flaw because I acted differently from the past. Crash realized that Ariad was changing, but the Ariad who betrayed him continued to live in his memories. Crash wondered, was Arthur troubled by this discrepancy, so he let me steal the regression skill? Ariad, if I can cure his daughter's illness, he should pledge his loyalty. Crash decided, I should increase my available pawns while I'm here. Crash tells Ariad to do as he pleases, adding that he'll think about how to treat his daughter later. Right now, the secret library takes priority. The entrance to the secret library opens. Crash's eyes widen. He heads inside, engulfed in a burst of energy. Crash disappears into the library. Crash's eyes widened in alarm. He declared, I've received countless curses from world erosion, yet for my hair to stand on end this much. He continued, there's no mistake, his grimoire is here. Crash triumphantly announced, found it. Crash began to explain, the Blue Pine Hall secret library, a place where ancestors called failures in Valheim recorded their techniques and memories without omission. He finished his thought, and preserved grimoires for reaching a state of mastery not through skills, but through human achievement. Initially, the Blue Pine Hall's secret library was a place anyone could access, but because of one single person, it became a secret library. That person was Damaris Valheim, the worst failure in Valheim history, but someone who became the strongest after being consumed by world erosion. The grimoire left behind by that worst failure, Crash declared, "Sorry for being late, ancestors, is mine." Damaris Valheim, the worst failure in Valheim history, was also the strongest person in Valheim history when he was at the height of his power. Some of the world's strongest warriors challenged him, but his power was too great. No one could stop him. He was in extreme blood immersion, because he possessed the insane secret technique of taking world erosion into his own body, and wielding that power. Crash gripped the grimoire tightly, his eyes blazing with determination. Previously, half the book was burned, so I didn't understand why Damaris ended up that way. Did he lose his mind because he couldn't control the erosion's rampage? Crash remembered his own experience with world erosion curses. It's true that when I was hit by world erosion curses too, I'd weaken the curses with Blackhood first, then somehow endure by offsetting them with other curses, using the same principle for extreme blood immersion's rampage. An idea sparked in his mind, a dangerous but potentially rewarding path. If I steal a curse that controls the rampage and offset it, I can also become strong. Ariad watched Crash intently, a flicker of anticipation in his eyes. Like Iris. Yes, young Master Crash. Crash declared, from today on, don't let anyone enter the Blue Pine Hall. That's an order. The subordinate responded, as you command. The old man vowed, the young master overlooked my wrongdoing. I must repay that kindness. I'll refuse Lord Verokin's proposal. Verokin was furious. What? You're refusing my proposal for that half-wit? He continued enraged. We can't keep trash like him in the Valheim family, you fool. Verokin seethed, looking at the document. That so-called once-in-a-generation genius, and that failure both, make me so angry. Verokin's rage burned at the thought. If that woman's filthy blood hadn't interfered, Sister Lilith and I could have kept our positions in the direct line. Just then, a subordinate appeared, having heard Verokin's outburst. Hey, you called Lord Verokin? Verokin, seizing the opportunity, barked an order. Go to the Blue Pine Hall where Crash is right now. Find out why that butler changed his mind. The subordinate hesitated. But we can't enter. What? Verokin explained the situation. Crash's butler Ariad has sealed the entrance, saying he won't let anyone enter the Blue Pine Hall, not even the family head. The subordinate's eyes widened in disbelief. Won't even let the family head enter. Verokin's anger flared at the mention of Crash. That arrogant failure. Crash, meanwhile, was focusing on his own training. Have I reached the expert entry level yet? He studied the hierarchy of Aura Mastery. There are several realms in Aura Mastery: Aura Emperor, Aura Master, Aura Expert, Aura User. The first stage is Aura User, the state of having just learned Aura. He continued reading. The second stage is Aura Expert, the stage with the most corresponding Aura users and the boundary line that separates ordinary people from geniuses. Crash's thoughts drifted to Charlotte. I've only just reached the realm of ordinary people, while Charlotte, who's only 2 years older than me, is almost an Aura Master. Her talent is absurdly overwhelming, but even Charlotte, that unprecedented monster, was powerless before the world's destruction. Crash frowned, thinking, compared to Charlotte, I'm still at expert entry. Can I really protect the world at this pace? He looked up, a new resolve hardening his gaze. Won't know unless I try, right? Crash's expression shifted to determination. No need to lament. Before the regression, we couldn't even use Aura because of the curses. He smirked. But now it's different. Crash's eyes shone with newfound hope. Even if I can't compare to Charlotte, I can grow with the grimoire left behind by failures like us. Crash grinned, his eyes gleaming with determination. Crash felt the surge of power within him. He could become much stronger. He suppressed the urge to keep training. This is enough for now. Suddenly, a servant approached, a look of awe on his face. Young master, I congratulate you on entering the expert realm. Crash frowned, accepting the towel. Don't make a fuss over something like this. More importantly, why were you waiting here? The servant bowed slightly. Your fiancée, Lady Bianca Hardenhearts, has come to the Blue Pine Hall. Crash's eyes widened in alarm. Bianca the White Demon. Crash had heard of the White Demon, the mastermind who became a servant of the world's invaders and tried to destroy this world, who defeated one of the 10 strongest under heaven and earned the name White Demon. Well, for now she's just the youngest daughter of the Hardenhearts family. A political marriage. Hardenhearts family, rulers of the North, can dispose of a useless failure and gain connections with the strongest martial house. Both of us are being used by our families. I actually had business with Bianca anyway. How convenient that she came all this way. Bianca Hardenhearts, the youngest daughter of the Hardenhearts family, rulers of the North, was born with a dark secret. Before she was born, her mother was afflicted by a world erosion curse, resulting in Bianca being born with a curse called Snow Doll that left her emotionless. Curses that reach the soul can't be lifted even by curse breakers, and with a contaminated body, she couldn't contract with a god either. Born in exchange for her mother's life, Bianca was treated coldly by the Hardenheart's family as a cursed child. Crash wondered if Bianca hated him. He hoped there wouldn't be any problems stealing Bianca's curse. Crash's plan was becoming clear. Snow Doll was the curse needed to control extreme blood immersion's rampage. He turned to the guard and said, "This outfit definitely won't do, right? I'll prepare a change of clothes immediately." Crash confirmed, "Yeah, please do." Guard acknowledged the request. "Show her in and have her wait inside." 5 months before Crash's current plan, Bianca Hardenhearts was in the middle of a heated argument. Crash told her to go home, accusing her of only caring about Valheim's power and of pretending to be his fiancée. Bianca turned and walked away. She muttered that it wasn't like she even wanted to come here. Bianca's father told her that for the Hardenhearts family to survive, they must rely on Valheim, and that she should use her pretty face to win over their youngest son. He continued, telling her that the fate of the Hardenhearts family rested on her shoulders, and that even if she lacked emotions, she could still tell right from wrong. Bianca thought to herself, if her family hadn't forced her into a political marriage, even this pessimistic, sharp-tongued loser, I'd be the one saying no. Crash's eyes widened slightly. "Oh," he smiled, covering up his surprise. "I can't believe I served you such hot tea knowing you hate that, Miss Cat's tongue. I'll have a word with the maid later." Bianca stared at the tea with a blank expression. Crash suggested, "The weather's nice. Shall we take a walk in the garden? There should be lots of flowers you don't see up north." "Let's do that," Ariad confirmed. "Set out some macadamia cookies in the garden as you command." Crash continued, "It must have been quite the trip coming all this way, Bianca. We're engaged after all. It's good to spend time together like this." Bianca responded flatly, "Is that so?" Crash's smile faltered slightly. "You don't sound like a fiancé, more like you're talking to your commanding officer." Bianca's eyes narrowed, a flicker of suspicion crossing her face. "You're still so stiff. When we met before, your eyes were so sharp, but today you seem like a completely different person, and I never even told you I like macadamia cookies, but you somehow knew." Crash chuckled, trying to defuse the situation. "How peaceful, isn't it, are you?" Bianca stares intently at Crash, asking, "Really, Crash?" He composes himself and asks, "Do I seem that different from before?" Bianca's eyes widen, sensing a sudden shift in Crash's demeanor. Killing intent, she bows her head slightly, saying, "I'm sorry, Crash, I didn't mean to offend you. Damn, I didn't mean it like that." Crash reflected on the situation. "My memories of this time are vague. I can't remember how I acted around Bianca, but the one thing I do remember is that expression on her face." He recalled the same expression she had that day, when she died in front of the Arctic Sea Pavilion. Crash decided to play it cool. "For now, I should play this smoothly. I can't blame you for thinking that way, Bianca. Recently, I formed a contract with a god." Bianca's eyes narrowed slightly. "So that's why your personality changed. Congratulations, Crash." Crash smiled. "On that note, I have a proposal for you." Bianca seemed surprised. "A proposal? You, who just made a divine contract, want to propose something to me?" Bianca's imagination ran wild. "Wait, is this about breaking the engagement?" Crash looked bewildered. "Why would you jump to that?" Crash was still trying to play it cool, despite how flustered he was. "I mean, I get it. You don't want to marry someone like me. I understand if you wanted to cancel the engagement." Bianca's expression darkened. "There you go, being self-deprecating again. I don't get it. Why is a Valheim like you so lacking in confidence?" Bianca's eyes narrowed. "I am your fiancé, Crash, and that will not change." Crash was taken aback by her response. "Words I thought I'd never hear." He cleared his throat. "I see. Anyway, back to the main point." Crash's expression turned serious. "With my newly awakened power, I want your Snow Doll curse." Bianca, caught off guard, questions Crash's request. "You're asking me to give up a curse that not even the best curse breakers could undo?" Crash nods, pressing the issue. "You plan to take the curse onto yourself?" "Yeah, I need to use that curse. If you give it to me, I'll grant you one wish, anything you want. Even breaking the engagement." Bianca pauses, considering the offer. Suddenly, a flashback reveals the source of Bianca's emotional turmoil, her family's disdain. "I know the Valheim family looks down on you for being a failure." The flashback continues. "If that's the case, you must have a rift with your relatives. Maybe that's what wore you down." The flashback ends, returning to the present. Bianca wonders if her desire to erase her emotions could be considered a mental illness. A psychic mage once told him, when people reach their mental limit, their mind breaks. He continued, and when that happens, they might take their own life or suddenly act overly kind, like they've changed personalities. Crash reached out, placing his hand gently on Bianca's head. "Those moments are dangerous. They're signals of impending collapse. If someone close to you ever ends up that way, Bianca, if someone close to you ever ends up that way." He urged her to stay by their side. Bianca grasped his hand, her eyes filled with determination. "It's okay, Crash. You can overcome this. You don't need a curse, you just need to control your emotions." Crash looked at her, confused. Uh-huh, Bianca, I think there's been a misunderstanding? Bianca suddenly declares, I'll come visit often from now on. If I ask my father, I can probably move nearby too. Crash is taken aback. What's this all of a sudden? Wait, don't you dislike me? Didn't you never actually want this engagement? Bianca replies, maybe so, but I can't abandon someone standing on the edge. Crash realizes, you're not denying it, huh? I get that Bianca's the type to charge straight ahead. Crash thinks to himself, but I feel like she's misunderstanding something big here. If she won't give up the curse willingly, maybe I'll quietly test my skill. Skill Blackhood. Unlock condition. Generation. Crash sees the first unlock condition, become Bianca's friend. He realizes it's a double lock, and it's troublesome because she's had that curse since birth. It's probably considered part of her body and given immense value. Normally, curses don't generate locks. Crash thinks to himself that the unlock condition is to become friends with her, which is harder than becoming her fiancé since Bianca has no emotions and is unlikely to show interest in anything. Still, sending her back to Hardened Hearts would only hasten the time she becomes the White Demon. He decides he'll keep her close and look for a chance to unlock it. If he can stop her from becoming the White Demon and obtain the Snow Doll, it's killing two birds with one stone. For now, the best move is to listen to what she has to say. Crash smiles, thinking that makes him happy, and he's glad he'll get to see his fiancée more often. Bianca tells Crash that she'll confirm with her father and come again soon. As she departs, Crash realizes she probably won't return for a month, so he should read as many grimoires as he can before then. Things are starting to get busy. The next day, he was at Blue Pine Hall. Boxes and supplies were being unloaded. Suddenly, a voice calls out, "Hello, Crash." A girl announces, "Starting today, I'll be living here at the Blue Pine Hall." She then adds, "Please take care of me living here together." What? Crash's eyes fluttered open to find Bianca sleeping soundly next to him. He stared at her, a bit confused. "Bianca, sleeping here again?" Crash sat up, stretching. "If someone sees us like this, they'll get the wrong idea." Bianca woke up, rubbing her eyes. "Good morning, Crash, but why are you here?" "That's my line, Bianca." Crash was deep in thought. Come to think of it, it had already been a few months since Crash started living with Bianca. Suddenly, a voice echoed, "Hello, Crash. Starting today, I'll be living at the Blue Pine Hall." A young girl stood before him. She gave Crash a polite greeting. "Please take care of me." Crash stared at the girl. "You've already moved in?" The girl replied, "Yes, it wasn't a problem. My family quickly gave permission." Crash frowned, concerned. "I meant, are you okay being apart from your family? You're still what, 12? Crash considered the girl's nature. Maybe because she has no emotions, her attachment to her family is weak, and she doesn't really sense those kinds of feelings. Well, Crash walked alongside her, thinking, maybe that's a good thing if he wants to become her friend, like a mother hen and her chick. That all happened in summer. Now it's already winter, the year's almost over, which means the opening of Lahelm Academy is near. Lahelm Academy, founded through cooperation between the 4 great kingdoms and the Empire to train talent capable of resisting world erosion, accepts students between 15 and 20 years old. For the Regression, Lahelm Academy produced countless members of the Azure generation. Many of them possessed cheat-level skills because of those bastards. Crash grinned, thinking, I know their weaknesses better than anyone. I can easily steal their skills. Once I enroll in the academy, I'll steal every last one. He knew that he'd be 14 next year, giving him about a year to prepare. He muttered to himself, I need to get stronger before then, but Crash frowned. His talent was starting to hit its limit. He realized that the grimoires could only take him to the beginner stage of Aura Expert. Crash knew to surpass his limits, he needed to steal Bianca's Snow Doll curse soon and learn to use extreme blood immersion. He approached Bianca, who was waiting for him. Bianca, have you been waiting for me again today? Bianca responded, Yes, I can't leave you by yourself, Crash, ever since summer. Crash thought to himself that she's followed him like a baby bird wherever he goes. He asked her, Are you planning to follow me into the bathroom too? Is that wrong? He wondered how long it would be until Bianca finally saw him as a friend. Bianca looked up at him and asked, Want to go out and have some fun, young master? Crash received an invitation. An invitation has arrived from the Star Sanctuary. Star Sanctuary? The Star Sanctuary was a formal gathering held once a year for the young nobles of the Staron Kingdom. Almost everyone attended unless they had special circumstances. It was a chance to socialize and build connections. Crash seemed to recall something. I remember that now. Thanks for the reminder, Ariad. Before the regression, Crash had shut himself up in the Blue Pine Hall, so his memories of this event were fuzzy. Crash considered his options. That guy will probably be there too. I should go, to keep my promise with Ariad. That way, he'll have no reason to do something like last time. Crash decided, Tell them I'll attend. I'll go too. Bianca chimed in, saying she'll come along as well. The messenger acknowledged, understood Crash. The people attending the Star Sanctuary will probably criticize you. Bianca reassured him, Yeah, and who knows what they'll say about you too. Maybe it's better if you don't go. No, I'll go with you. Crash looked surprised by her offer. He responded, I didn't mean as your fiancé. I just wanted your honest opinion, Bianca. Bianca stared back at Crash with a complicated expression. And there it is again, that sympathetic look. Bianca reflects on Crash's recent behavior, thinking that he has been unreasonably kind to her these past few months. Crash asks her what she wants for breakfast and suggests they choose the next book from the study together, reassuring her that he's not going anywhere, and she can sleep more. Bianca thinks to herself that Crash's warmth is something she's never experienced from the Hardenstein family. She continues to muse that Crash has been so kind that she can barely remember their terrible first meeting anymore. Bianca declares that she doesn't dislike Crash anymore and that she'll go with him, not as his fiancé, but as herself. Crash's face is partially visible as he considers her words. That's how he feels. The Star Dragon Pavilion came into view. He watched as someone booked the entire venue, and wondered, how much money do they even have? Nobles in this world are respected because they fight world erosion in place of the common people, and yet these fools don't even train, they just party all night. And we call them the future of Staron? Crash and Bianca entered the Star Sanctuary, and Crash wondered just how many decent people were even here. Just then, an announcement boomed through the hall. Lord Crash Valheim and Lady Bianca Hardenhearts have arrived. The crowd began to whisper. Crash? The failed youngest son of the Valheim family? And the cursed daughter of the northern ruler? What a waste of beauty. I heard the two are engaged. Don't stare too much, or you'll get cursed. Crash grimaced, surrounded by fake nobles. One noble smiled, recognizing him. Valheim? Looks like someone interesting showed up. But among the fakes, there were real nobles present as well. Among the crowd were those who would later join the Azure generation, like Balak Hogma, the Tiger Youth, and Kasagi Elfin Emilia, Wood Archer Annex Grizzer, the three who would later be called Starin's Triad. Crash noticed the attention. Those three were taking an interest in him. Charlotte, in her red dress, leaned in to speak to Crash. Listen, Crash, when I wore a dress like this, everyone kept coming up to me, yet not one of them could beat me in a duel. Crash, unimpressed, thought to himself, Star Sanctuary? More like Trash Sanctuary? Charlotte, seemingly in agreement, added, it was boring. I'm never going again. Crash recalled Charlotte bragging about her past experiences. Judging by the tense mood in the hall, she must have already caused a scene. Bianca tugged at Crash's sleeve, saying, Crash, don't mind what people are saying. I was just remembering Charlotte. Bianca placed her hand on Crash's head. You're being insulted too. Doesn't it bother you? And yet here you are worrying about me. I don't mind at all. Bianca asked, by the way, when is he showing up? Don't tell me he's not coming. Just then, an announcement boomed through the hall. Lord Darling Danforlion has arrived. Speak of the devil. The strangest of all eccentrics. Everyone. Flashy alchemist, Lord Darling Danforlion. The flashy alchemist, Lord Darling Danforlion, had arrived, but someone else was grabbing Crash's attention. The shirtless man was covered head to toe in curses. Whoa, he's covered, head to toe in curses. What on earth happened to get this bad? The blonde alchemist began to weave her fingers together, preparing a new curse. She grinned wickedly. If I combine this and that erosion-type curse, yeah, this might work. She reached out for the cursed man. Hey, want to be my test subject? I'll cure you. She grabbed his face in her hands, ignoring his discomfort. Hey, don't even have the strength to answer? Then I'll just start without asking, okay? Crash watched in horror as the alchemist prepared to experiment on the cursed man. Crash, stop. Blonde alchemist was about to experiment on the cursed man, but Crash intervened, grabbing her to stop her. You maniac! Get out of my way! His name was the Alchemy Lord, Darling Danforlion. Crash reflected on the moment. The man who would one day be called the Alchemy King, the first time I met him. Meanwhile, the real Darling Danforlion made his grand entrance to the party. Hey everyone, Lord Darling looks amazing as always. It's that crazy guy, Darling. Did he show up late just to get attention? One of the partygoers wasn't surprised by his behavior. Well, knowing that show-off, there's no way he missed an event where his peers gather. Crash, seeing an opportunity to get close to Danforlion, turned to Bianca. Bianca, wait for me here. Bianca, with her mouth full, simply nodded in agreement. MMPH. Okay. Blonde man watched Crash walk toward him. That boy. He squinted, trying to place the boy. I feel like I've seen him somewhere before. Crash Valheim. A woman with long black hair stood beside Crash, her expression unreadable. Valheim. He really does look like Charlotte. The blonde man's eyes widened in surprise. He clasped his hands together, leaning forward with a grin. Are you Charlotte's little brother? You need something from me? Or are you just captivated by how good-looking I am? Recently, his smile widened, his eyes gleaming with curiosity. I've heard you've been poking around about the world invaders. The blonde man grinned. Put that way, does it catch your interest? Quite the cocky kid, aren't you? The blonde man continued. But since you caught my attention, be prepared for the consequences. Please don't interrupt. He turned to Crash. So then, Crash, How old are you now? Crash responded, 13. Does age matter that much? The blonde man looked surprised. Th3. You look young, but your attitude says otherwise. Crash smirked. Well, I've got the mind of an academy graduate adult, after all. I don't have much time. Can we get to the point? Go on, tell me. The blonde man held out a sword. Here, take this. The blonde man offered Crash a sword, but their conversation was cut short as the blonde man suddenly lunged at Crash with blinding speed. Crash parried the attack, his eyes wide. What the hell are you doing, darling Danferlion? The blonde man grinned, clearly enjoying the fight. I finally got to meet Charlotte's brother, so of course I wanted to test your skills first. Crash scowled, his eyes narrowed. What a pain in the ass. The blonde man continued his assault, pressing Crash back. Weren't you the one saying you had something to talk about? I'll listen. Go ahead, that. Crash held his ground, deflecting another blow. He was clearly outmatched, but he wasn't giving up. Arthur, the blonde man, pressed his attack. I heard you were a talentless failure without any skills. Crash parried the blow. I may look like that, but I train every day. Great. Using secret techniques against an alchemist feels wrong though. Guess I'll try shaking things up a bit. Crash continued, your research on curse neutralization. I could help you with that. Arthur was taken aback. What? Arthur pressed his attack, clearly suspicious. And what do you know about alchemy that makes you think you can assist me? Arthur stepped back, kicking away the broken pieces of the sword. Crash smirked. Ha! Crash pressed his advantage. You're working on neutralizing world erosion curses that even curse breakers can't undo, using other curses to cancel them out. Arthur, the blonde man, paused, considering. To become a first-rank alchemist, you have to prove that theory, right? Crash saw his opening. I'll help you with that research. Crash's dark aura flared around him. With my skill that steals curses aura. Arthur's eyes widened in disbelief. You're not skillless. I thought you were some failure. Arthur looked completely dumbfounded. Arthur's eyes widened as he realized, if what Crash says is true. Blonde man grinned, clasping his hands together. This is perfect. I can prove both curse supply and neutralization at once. So, what's my price for this collaboration? Crash scowled at Arthur's suggestion. What, you want me to become your boyfriend? What nonsense are you spouting? I'll be obtaining several curses in the future. I need you to create a potion that can suppress them. Crash continued, brewing potions is my specialty. Stealing skills alone isn't enough. Crash's thoughts turned grim. Even the Azure generation with cheat-level power, he steeled his resolve, couldn't stop the apocalypse. That's why a failure like me has no choice but to try every possible method, whether it's a potion or anything else. Arthur listened intently. I heard you lost all motivation being compared to Charlotte, but it seems that's not true anymore. The image shifts to a young boy and girl, both of whom seem to be quite powerful. An overwhelming genius and a stubborn misfit. Arthur's eyes widened slightly. Brother and sister, both of them. Blonde man leaned in, a question on his mind. Mind if I ask one thing? Are you enrolling in the newly established Laheln Academy? Crash smirked, his eyes gleaming with anticipation. Of course I am. His thoughts were crystal clear. The academy is full of people with skills to steal from. Crash stared up at the fist looming over him, a bead of sweat trickling down his face. You can do it. Crash smirked, a glint in his eye. Now you're hitting my pride. Two boys bumped fists, sealing their agreement. When it's ready, send it to the Blue Pine Hall. Crash watched him leave, his expression thoughtful. Oh, I'll bring it to you myself. By the way, something's been bothering me. The blonde boy skips happily toward Crash. You like my sister, don't you? He grins. Of course, I adore Charlotte. The blonde boy's smile widens, but his words take an unexpected turn. Then why do you keep saying there's an empty seat beside you and asking about boyfriends? What are you even talking about? He leans forward conspiratorially, his expression mischievous. You're still too young to get it, Crash, but I like men too. Crash reels back in shock, his face a mask of disbelief. I swing both ways. The blonde boy chases after Crash, arms outstretched. I don't. Hey, wait. My future boyfriend, come back. Crash pauses at the end of the hallway, looking back with a weary expression. All right, he was like that, wasn't he? Crash finds himself surrounded by a crowd of nobles. Suddenly, the air grows heavy with tension. A hand reaches out, grabbing Bianca's wrist. Crash. Crash retaliates with a swift kick. The attacker goes flying. Whoa! Crash clutches his head, clearly disoriented. Groan. Crash's eyes narrowed, his voice dripping with fury. You trying to drag off my fiancé by force? What the hell do you think you're doing? If you're listening right now, help me prove something wrong. My mom told me I should stop reading and doing these recaps and that it was a waste of time. But I know you guys are different. If you like these recaps, please subscribe and let's prove her wrong. Crash's eyes burned with dark energy. Trying to drag my fiancé away by force. The attacker, clearly regretting his life choices, stammered in fear. What the hell do you think you're doing? By force, you say? Crash's gaze intensified. You were about to lay hands on a 12-year-old girl. Crash's voice dripped with disgust. Don't tell me that's the kind of stuff you're into? You sick idiot. The attacker was quick to defend himself. No, that's not it. The attacker was sweating bullets. I was just following Lady Claudia's orders. The second princess's orders. Crash's eyes widened slightly, processing the new information. From the kingdom of Staron. Claudia, the attacker, desperate to justify his actions, blurted out, yes. Lady Claudia, the second princess, told me to bring Lady Bianca to her, but Lady Bianca resisted, so I tried to take her by force. It couldn't be helped. It was a royal command, he continued, explaining Bianca's social standing. Bianca may be the youngest daughter of the Northern Lords, the Hardenhearts family, but her curse makes her look down on among nobles. Crash considered the implications. And that princess who usually just plays around with her followers, specifically summoned her? Crash frowned, sensing inconsistencies. Something doesn't add up. He knew there had to be more to the story. There has to be another connection. Suddenly, a name surfaced in his mind. Wood Archer Annex. He used to obsessively chase after Charlotte. After being humiliated at the Star Sanctuary, he couldn't let go of his twisted mix of hate and admiration for her, and it finally drove him mad. He knew he'd never defeat Charlotte by his own power, so he set his sights on me instead. Crash scoffed. Ha! He realized the attacker was dragging Bianca into this too. He exclaimed, so now he's dragging Bianca into this too? Crash agreed, fine, I'll go. Huh? He realized he wasn't going to see the princess, but to see Annex. I'm going to see Annex. Lord Annex? Why? Crash couldn't believe the princess's servant didn't even know who ordered her to do this. You serve the princess but don't even know who ordered her to do this? Unbelievable. Your instincts really are dull. Crash instructed Bianca to leave with him. Let's go, Bianca. Bianca agreed. Yes, Crash. Two then walked away together. As they walked, Crash asked Bianca why she didn't refuse to go with Annex. By the way, Bianca, why did you refuse to go? He thought she would have left before him. I thought you'd leave before me, but you didn't. Though given the situation, maybe that was wise. Bianca simply responded yes. Bianca explained why she didn't follow the princess's orders. Because, you told me to wait. Crash smirked, knowing his plan was working. He praised Bianca. Well done. Small, mischievous-looking boy bounced up and down in anticipation. He greeted Crash. Oh, hey, you came. I came to see Annex. The boy confirmed that Crash was expected. Yeah, he said if Crash shows up, to let him through. He thinks to himself that he'd honestly rather not get involved. Balak is glad that Annex sent him ahead, giving him a chance to size up Crash. Balak grins, his eyes gleaming with anticipation. I've been curious about you too, Crash. Let's fight. Of course this is how it ends up. Continues, fighting's banned at the Star Sanctuary, but I fought Charlotte anyway, so fighting you should be fine, right? You look weaker than Charlotte though. He recalls hearing that Balak lasted longer against Charlotte than Annex did, and that his aura mastery was slightly above theirs. Balak's eyes light up with a purple aura. So he's strong even among experts. Huh? Let's do this. His combat intuition is. Crash senses that Balak's attacks are sharp and nearly impossible to predict, so he'd rather avoid fighting him before meeting Annex. But with that look in Balak's eyes, Crash knows he won't back down quietly. Crash relents. Fine. Balak immediately launches a furious attack, his fist crackling with purple energy. Crash is sent flying through the air. He crashes hard into the floor. Crash is sent hurtling downwards. Balak slams Crash into the ground. The force of the impact sends shockwaves through the room. Crash looks up, surprised. Balak grins, clearly enjoying himself. You really don't hold back, Crash. Crash smirks. Ready for more? You're the one who challenged me first. Yeah, that's good. Let's go another round. Can I grab my weapon this time? Weapon? Crash looks down at Balak, who is struggling to stand. More importantly, can you even stand? Huh! Balak is clearly surprised. A woman with white hair asks Crash, what did you just do? Crash replies, I used a secret Valheim technique. Crash explains short strike. It's a technique created by a forgotten Valheim dropout. It delivers maximum power over the shortest distance. If the conditions are right, it can pierce armor and strike internal organs directly. Continues, it's the only secret technique I managed to save before the Blue Pine Hall burned down prior to Regression. Crash finishes, thanks to short strike, I've survived countless near-death battles. It's my most reliable move. Crash looks down at Balak, who is out cold. He won't be getting up for a while. Let's head inside. The pair head inside the building. Arthur, who is standing nearby, is surprised. Balak, the woman with long black hair admits, I was surprised that you managed to defeat Balak. Crash replies, wasn't it your plan to have him stand there so you could target him? He continues, anyway, since you were trying to use the second princess to lure me out, I came here to see you in person. Arthur stares at Crash, trying to figure him out. How do you figure it out? Strange, you're not quite like the rumors said. Could it be those rumors were false? If it's the rumor about me being a failure, that one's true. Arthur's expression darkens as he continues. But after today, if I beat you, oh, Crash smirks, ready to prove himself. Then those rumors are going to change. Crash prepares to steal Arthur's skill. Because I'll be taking your skill for myself. Arthur stares down at Crash, a confident smirk playing on his lips. If the rumor about me being a failure is true, then so be it. But if I beat you today, that rumor's going to change a little, don't you think? Arthur's expression is one of smug amusement. Crash recalls a name from his past. Annex Grizzer. We went through the Academy and the Azure Generation together. Crash continues his memory, the scene shifting to a flashback of the two side by side. After spending so much time side by side, I got to know him well. You'd enter without a plan? For example, you only stayed close to me because I was useful. The memory continues, the words hanging in the air. And the reason you found me useful. And the reason you found me useful. The flashback ends abruptly as an unseen force sends a figure flying through the air. With his comrades defeated, the uninjured survivor cries out, "Damn it! Everyone's down! Annex, I know you're there. Help me!" Crash. Annex's eyes narrow, his thoughts turning to self-preservation. If people found out it was my fault we walked into a trap, I'd lose my standing in the Azure Generation, wouldn't I? He realizes that there may be a way out of this mess. But if I'm the only survivor, no one will ever know the truth. Crash, hearing those words, is spurred into action. Like hell I'll let that happen. There's already constant infighting going, you'll be expelled for sure if this comes out. Annex smiles coldly, knowing he can manipulate the situation to his advantage. Don't worry, I'll just blame it all on you. Everyone hates you anyway, so it'll blow over quickly. The whole thing will fade away. Crash, enraged by the betrayal, can only stare in disbelief. Thanks, Crash, for being my friend till the end. Friend. Crash's rage boiled over. Don't screw with me. Have you ever actually thought of me as a friend? You only hung around me to get close to Charlotte. And today, because you couldn't stop thinking about her wedding, this happened. He glared, consumed by resentment. That's why I can't stand you. You have no skill, but you're always quick to twist people's words. Crash felt a pang of resignation. Once Charlotte's married, this thing between us is over anyway. Yeah, maybe it's better that way. He imagined the ceremony. I'm sure she'll have a beautiful ceremony, even if it feels like a funeral to me. Crash felt his strength fading. My strength. His vision blurred as he struggled to hold on. My strength. Is this really how it ends? A hand reached down to him, and he heard a familiar voice. Arthur asked, "You alright?" That's when Arthur saved me, and we ended up on the same team. That was the start of my next misfortune. But once Arthur exposed him, Annex got kicked out of the Azure Generation. After that, he desperately tried to marry the princess. It made my blood boil. But now, the man sneered. Crash, you even talk and look just like Charlotte. Crash glared back. Hey, don't you dare say my sister's name so casually. You think I'm like her? Crash's eyes flashed with anger. Maybe we do look alike, but when it comes to temperament, pick a fight with me and you'll see the difference. Crash launched himself forward, ready to make good on his threat. Crash dodged the attack with a flip, narrowly avoiding the wooden spear. He backflipped away from the second strike, the force of the blow sending tremors through the floor. Crash landed on his hands and knees, a cloud of dust rising around him. He glared up at Arthur, still troublesome as ever. Arthur stood his ground, surrounded by swirling green energy. That all you've got? You might as well use a weapon. The Grizzer family's secret technique, would heaven style. A unique technique that strengthens and controls plant life through aura. It was a dangerous combination. Combined with his recovery skill, he could multiply plants and extend the technique's limits. Crash held the wooden spear, a smirk playing on his lips. Use a weapon, huh? He gripped the makeshift weapon tightly. Fine, then I'll fight you using your plants. Oh yeah? Crash swung the branch, sending a flurry of leaves scattering as he aimed for Arthur. The blond man narrowly avoided the strike. Arthur's eyes widened in disbelief. He dodged. Maybe Charlotte could have done that, but you're just a failure. Crash's smirk widened, a glint of amusement in his eyes. What's next, mind's eye or something? Crash faced off against Annex, his expression hardening. You're my natural enemy, Annex. I've seen your abilities enough times before the regression to know your every move. Annex. He pressed his advantage, taunting Annex. Still thinking about Charlotte? You sure you want to push your luck like this? Annex's eyes narrowed, the air crackling with building power. Annex's rage reached its peak. Watch your mouth when you speak to me, Crash. Wood Heaven style, fifth form, Wooden Titan. Crash watched as the Wood Heaven style technique took form. Wooden Titan. Elsewhere, someone cried out in alarm. Lord Annex. No, stop. The Wooden Titan's fist hurtled towards Crash, and someone shouted, if that hits Crash directly, you'll kill him. Crash closed his eyes. He recalled a detail from the secret library of Blue Pine Hall. There was one of the rarest grimoires, written by an idiot who swung his sword daily until he turned 80. He wasn't talented, just an ordinary man who practiced endlessly. His final grimoire was short, just notes about swinging a sword. But it described a state of unity between self and blade, a realm unreachable by technique alone. Crash thought, but I've been pushed to that edge time and time again by my curses. That's why I understood that ancestor's secret. He gripped his staff tightly. The sword becomes me, Crash declared, and I become the sword. A beam of light shot into the sky. The woman with long dark hair watched as Crash's power erupted. The sword. Such a yet simple profound truth. The woman's eyes widened in shock as she watched the scene unfold. Suddenly Arthur called out, "Hey!" Arthur stood over the fallen fighter. "Don't ever get cocky with me again." Arthur stood over his defeated opponent, his eyes narrowed. "Don't ever get cocky again. Understand?" The fallen fighter lay defeated on the ground, his body battered and bruised. Crash stood panting, sweat dripping from his brow. Damn it. I was planning to hold back a little to make it easier to steal his skill, but I went all out with that last strike. Now I can barely move. Crap, I can't even speak. As Crash stood there, barely able to move, a voice called out, "Crash, let me help you." Crash was suddenly embraced from behind. "Gahak!" Arthur stepped forward. At this rate Crash will die. Leave him to me. Please." Crowd began to murmur. What's all this commotion? That failure actually beat Anix. No way. The useless youngest son of Valheim? A blond man listened in. Seems the rumor's already spreading. He watched Crash being carried away. Either he's bold, or just reckless. Either way, when he wakes up, he'll be famous. Crash couldn't shake the memory of Anix's face. Still, that expression on Anix's face earlier bothers me. I've got a bad feeling he's planning something. Arthur, carrying Crash, warned him, "Hey boy, don't you dare die before you help with my research, okay?" Crash was too injured to respond. A week passed after their return from the Star Sanctuary. Finally, I've recovered from the debris of that sword strike, Crash thought. He reflected on the battle. If I'd kept using it, non-stop, to corner him, I'd have ended up worse off than Anix. I was unconscious the entire ride home. If I'd stayed awake, I could have at least done some prep work to steal his skill. Crash considered his options. I had two ideas in mind for skill theft. Crash considered the two methods for skill theft. The usual way, unlocking Blackhood's lock, and the second, making the target doubt the value of their own skill. The latter was what I planned to use on Anix. It works best if you completely crush your opponent in a fight. That makes execution far easier. When my strike felled his wood giant, Anix's doubt must have started rippling in his mind. Losing to the failure he always looked down on, he'll start questioning the value of his skill. It'll take time, but eventually, his skill recovery will be mine. Crash knew that during this 1 year before the academy, to surpass all geniuses, he'd got to devote every day to training. Just then, a voice called out, "Lord Crash." A guard announced, "Lord Verokin has arrived at Blue Pine Hall." Guess Big Brother's patience finally ran out. The man lounging on the couch sighed. "You've already refused his messages twice, after all. No helping it now, let him in." "As you wish." Just then, a girl offered him a cup. "Crash, here's some water." He accepted it gratefully. Thanks." She wrinkled her nose. "What's wrong?" "You smell sweaty." Crash looked surprised. "Do I?" He sniffed at his armpit. "Maybe it's because using aura expels bodily waste? Or maybe I've gotten used to the stench of erosion." Crash pondered. "Should I freshen up before meeting Verokin?" He quickly dismissed the idea. "Nah. I'll probably be moving again anyway." Bianca tells him to keep his distance, but Crash is having none of it. "Then please keep some distance." "Huh? Giving orders to your fiancé now? You've grown bold, Bianca." He chases after her. "Think you can get away from me?" Crash reflects on Bianca's strength of character. She's so stubborn sometimes, yet that's part of her strength. Crash thinks back to the people he knew before his regression. The people I knew before regression. He imagines them staring at him coldly. Would probably be staring at me coldly right now. A voice echoes in his mind, questioning his resolve. "Crash. Getting soft already? You think you can stop the world's destruction acting like this?" Crash reflects on Arthur, the blonde hero. Arthur, I hate to admit it, but except for the very end, he was always vigilant, a real hero. Wonders what the hero is up to now. I wonder what Arthur is doing now. Flirting with his fiancée, I bet. Suddenly, the scene shifts to Verokin Valheim, third son of the Valheim family. How fitting. Verokin Valheim, third son of the Valheim family. He is confronted by a child. Even heroes need breaks sometimes. The child glares up at him. "You used to avoid making eye contact with me out of fear, but now you're looking straight at me?" The child continues to press him. "So the rumor that you beat Anix was true? By the way, I'm surprised you found time to visit Blue Pine Hall despite being so busy." "Busy?" The child's words cut through the air. "I heard Lehelm Academy will accept students based on exam results rather than status." Continued, a smirk playing on his lips. "You'd better start preparing too, brother." Verokin Valheim's expression hardened. "This guy, is he mocking me?" "Heh," he scoffed, arrogance dripping from his voice. "Even the strongest empire fears Valheim so much, they don't dare touch Staron. Our house operates on a whole different level. And I'm pure Valheim blood myself. The third son of Valheim sneered. You're telling someone like me to study for the entrance exam? Don't get arrogant over beating a guy like Anix. What a funny joke. The child tilted his head, a knowing glint in his eyes. Well, I suppose for a commoner, worrying about getting into is understandable. I imagine so. Verikin's expression darkened, clearly annoyed by the child's tone. What's that tone supposed to mean? Child continued, unfazed by Verikin's reaction. Actually, I came here today to deliver an order. An order? Verikin's eyes widened in disbelief. We're going to the Garrulak Mountains. What? Missions like that aren't mandatory until we turn 15. The child smirked, his eyes gleaming with mischief. Don't worry, I'll be your guardian on this one. Surely my little brother, who beat Anix, won't be scared of something like this, right? Verokin narrowed his eyes, recognizing the challenge. He's testing me, trying to gauge my strength. Fine, I'll go. He clenched his fist, a determined glint in his eyes. I'm more used to fighting erosion than living peacefully anyway. Verokin, with a determined look, thinks that even if it's a trap, he'll find a way out. He tells Crash that he'll be away for a bit to deal with the erosion problem, and warns him not to follow. Crash simply replies, I won't. Verokin turns away, logically thinking that sending a 13-year-old to handle an erosion event is absurd. He internally curses the snow girl and reveals she's his fiancée. He wonders if Crash is taking the 12-year-old's words seriously. Crash and Verokin lock eyes, both with serious expressions. Crash simply scoffs. Crash pats Bianca on the head, telling her, well done, Bianca. I didn't do anything. If you're unaware of what you've done, that's fine. He warns her, just don't faint again, alright? Crash turns to leave, saying, I'll be back. World erosion. A phenomenon where our world is literally invaded by another one. Sometimes creatures from another world appear. Other times the environment begins to change, and if the erosion keeps spreading, the area itself can turn into another world entirely. So the Garrulak Mountains developed a swamp, huh? I heard it's a rank 3 erosion. Did the purification team say anything? They said they'll begin work as soon as the core creature is neutralized. Rank 3, huh? An intermediate-level expert night squad should handle that just fine. Besides, Verokin may look calm, but he's an advanced expert, so he should be able to take down the core creature easily. Crash. Yes. I brought you here. Verokin explains that the reason he brought the other expert along was, so you, a lower-ranked expert, could gain field experience. The expert responds with an enthusiastic, yes, brother. The expert's expression darkens. Experience, huh? Who do you think you're talking to? Reveals his true motive. The only reason I followed you here was for one thing, to test a temporary method of controlling Rampage. Suddenly, a chorus of screeches pierces the air as they are swarmed by erosion beasts. Damn it! There's no end to them. Look over there. Verokin warns the expert about the dangers of these creatures. These erosion beasts don't have heads, but they have teeth. If they bite you, it'll make you swell up. Keep your aura surrounding your whole body. The expert replies, yes, sir. Another expert asks, Lord Crash, have you fought world erosion before? The expert can't help but think about how young Crash is. I'm only 13. It's strange enough that I even got this close to one. The masked expert laughs, impressed despite himself. Ahaha, that's true. How can a failure stand so calmly in his first erosion zone? When I first came to one at 15, my pride was shredded to pieces. The expert is amazed that Crash is composed enough to give advice to the knights. How can he stay so composed that he's giving advice to the knights? The expert continues to marvel at Crash's composure. It's completely different from how I was. Crash glares back at the expert. Don't compare me to you. Crash raises his sword, ready for battle. What if, hypothetically, Crash grows like Charlotte and surpasses me? Then wouldn't I become the failure of Valheim? Brother, we're close to where the core creature must be. Lucky for us, this looks easier than last time. Looks like there are monsters nearby aside from the core. That's why we need to stay even more alert. If there's a creature maintaining erosion alone at rank 3, the leader of the group shouts, hey, don't lose your nerve over something like this. And the rest of you, don't get rattled just because a kid's here. He continues, it's only rank 3. Deal with it quickly so we can go home. Yes. Well, they can handle themselves. I should focus on what I came here to do. Crash's eyes narrow as he focuses his senses. I can see it, world erosion energy. Ever since mastering extreme blood immortality, I can see it more clearly than before. He steels himself, knowing what he must do. All that's left now is to absorb it. Easier said than done. I can't help feeling nervous. With a determined look, Crash takes a step forward. Arthur shouts, Crash, are you alright? Crash replies that he just stumbled. Arthur suggests that he's pushing too hard for his first time and offers to carry him, but Crash insists that he's fine. Crash coughs up blood. He realizes that the energy of erosion is like a deadly toxin, but he can endure it. This is what he learned extreme blood immersion for. Crash recalls the first step, just like the grimoire said, mix his aura with the energy of erosion. He thinks to himself that his aura flows endlessly, never stopping, like a mighty river. If he lets the energy of erosion merge with it, eventually his aura will blend into that vast current completely, creating colors that have never existed before. Crash realizes, so this is what Rampage feels like. Crash grits his teeth, realizing that anyone with a weak mind would have gone insane by now. He thinks it's time to use that secret technique, recalling that after Damaris Valheim's era, the Blue Pine Hall was thought to have vanished from history, until one blind ancestor discovered the hidden library one day. But since he couldn't read the grimoires, he reluctantly sealed the door again. And to ensure no one like him would ever be trapped in ignorance again, he left behind one grimoire inside the library. Crash prepares to unleash the technique. The name of that secret art was Hypersensory Perception through Aura, Sixth Sense. Right now, he realizes he can't extend it more than the length of his own fingers. Crash grits his teeth, focusing his senses. But even that's enough to understand my surroundings clearly. The place I'm standing in now. He opens his eyes, taking in the scene around him. Isn't covered completely in Rampage anymore. The storm is fading. I overcame it with my sixth sense. Crash realizes he needs a more permanent solution. It's only a temporary solution, though. As long as I keep absorbing the energy of erosion, Rampage can happen anytime. Which means, I still need Bianca's snow doll curse. Crash clenches his fist. But even if only for a moment, he feels a change within himself. I managed to stabilize it. For the first time, I feel like I've reached a new step. Suddenly, Crash's eyes dart upwards. Wait, what's that? Crash stares up at the monstrous form looming over him. The face of the monster is frozen in a grimace, eyes shut tight. Suddenly, the monster's eyes snap open, glowing with an eerie red light. The monster lunges, teeth bared in a grotesque snarl, aiming for Crash. Crash is sent flying, crashing to the ground. Crash grits his teeth. NNGH, it's here. The core. Crash grits his teeth, spotting the monster's core. He prepares to strike, his eyes narrowed in determination. Crash stands with his sword, surrounded by allies, but he seems to be struggling. Everyone. Energy crackles around the sword as it gathers power. Suddenly, a voice booms out. Prepare for battle. The speaker is revealed to be Verokin, engulfed in flames. Camera focuses on a close-up of the speaker's face as he utters a single word. Ignis. Verokin, standing over Crash, sneers at him. The same skill that burned my arm before. Now you see the difference in our power. I don't have time to waste on trash like you. Verokin stands, wreathed in flames, as Crash recalls his past self. Verokin, before Regression, you were completely unhinged. Verokin smirks, his face alight with burning power. So what are you now? Crash's eyes gleam with dark energy as he prepares to unleash his power. I hope nothing's changed. Suddenly, a dark curse strikes Crash, causing him to stagger back. One of the soldiers cries out as another victim falls. Curse that erases the face. 2 soldiers are caught by the monster's attack. Even our seniors are struggling against that monster's 8 arms. No way rookies like us can dodge those curses. One of the soldiers realizes they should retreat, but the order to charge rings out. Crash is engulfed in flames as he powers up. The blonde-haired Crash clashes with Verokin, their attacks creating a fiery explosion. Verokin roars as the flames intensify around him. The force of the collision sends debris flying. Crash pushes forward, determined to break through Verokin's defenses. Don't give up. I'll create an opening. The soldiers watch the fight unfold, their eyes wide with a mix of fear and excitement. As expected of Lord Verokin, the creature can't even strike back. Follow Lord Verokin's lead, they cry. One of the soldiers wonders if Crash is seeing any of this, then realizes he's gone, and fears the worst. Is Crash seeing all this? He's gone. Don't tell me he's dead. And he notices something is off. Wait, he's not looking at me. He's looking at the thousand-faced demon. Crash is indeed staring at the thousand-faced demon, who seems to be shedding tears of blood. The masks of the thousand-faced demon are stained with black tears, dripping down its grotesque surface. The thousand-faced demon's appearance shifts again, and the change is clearly alarming. That's not normal, someone observes. The situation is escalating rapidly, and panic begins to set in. This is bad, really bad, they realize. Pressure emanating from the demon is becoming unbearable. What's this impossible pressure? If this keeps up, we have to kill the thousand-faced demon before it gets worse. Arthur rallies the troops, hoping to end the fight quickly. Everyone, attack together. But even with their combined efforts and aura-enhanced strikes, they can't seem to make a dent. Even with aura in our strikes, it's not working. Knights of Valheim, listen well. Strike again before it transforms any further. Arthur is furious at the knights' hesitation. You call yourselves Valheim knights, and you cower at something like this. The knights realize something is terribly wrong. What's happening now? One of them realizes the awful truth. The thousand-faced demon's curse. Another knight puts the pieces together. We didn't even touch it. Then that disturbance earlier. Curse takes hold. We've been. The demon's curse spreads rapidly. One of the knights collapses, succumbing to the curse. This is bad. It's killing me. The curse takes hold as the knight realizes, I'm going to die. He struggles in the downpour. A dark energy begins to consume him. His mind races as he thinks, why is this happening to me? Die. A vision of a young girl appears before him as a voice echoes in his mind. I the strongest Valheim. Because you're pathetic, that's why. The voice continues its brutal assessment. Your little sister surpassed you 3 years younger. You put on a front, lost every knight under your command, and ran like a coward to save yourself. That's why you'll die like the failure you are. The knight is about to be consumed by the dark energy. Crash refuses to let the erosion consume him. No, the knight's power is overwhelming. The knight's body crashes down into the landscape. The rain continues to fall. Crash lies on the ground, exhausted. Crash lies on the ground, rain pelting his face. A familiar voice calls out to him. Crash? Why are you, brother, you're awake? It's Arthur, who explains you survived too. Yes, I've been keeping watch from a distance. Arthur continues, I saw you being swallowed by the swamp during the demon's attack, so I avoided its gaze, pulled you out and brought you here. I see. I can walk on my own now. Crash looks concerned. In that condition? You can't even use your aura. Arthur smiles reassuringly. Are you sure you don't need my help? Crash, still recovering, spits out a retort. I don't need help from a fool like you. Arthur looks away, grimacing. Crash realizes the implication. So we can't leave unless we kill the thousand-faced demon? Damn it, brother. Arthur suddenly recalls something. Actually, I have an ultimate technique. One that Lady Charlotte taught me, continues herself. It's the reason I could fight evenly with Annex at the Star Sanctuary. Crash wonders about Charlotte's secret art. Arthur wonders if Charlotte harbors special feelings for a sibling born from the same mother, and if that technique can defeat the thousand-faced demon. He declares that if he's going to die lost in this erosion field anyway, he'd rather try. Arthur reaches out to Crash. I understand why you don't trust me. But brother, you do trust in Charlotte's strength, don't you? Crash admits that Charlotte is a genius. After all, Crash warns that if Arthur fails, they're both done for. Arthur assures him that he won't fail. The thousand-faced demon is closing in. Arthur, holding a blazing flame in his hand, asks if Crash is ready with Ignis. Crash confirms that he is. Crash declares that they should begin. Heavy footsteps approach. Arthur is enveloped in blue flames, ready to strike. Crash watches him intently. Arthur is enveloped in blue flames, ready to strike with unbelievable focus. The observer is stunned by Arthur's aura. What? Unbelievable focus. And that aura surrounding him. I've never seen an aura so clear and pure before. Continues to marvel at Arthur's abilities. When he told me to combine my Ignis flame with Charlotte's secret art earlier, I didn't believe him, but now I see it with my own eyes. The aura I could never master no matter how hard I trained. How is he able to wield it? The observer, looking nervous, asks Brother Verokin, please use Ignis. Verokin steels himself. Okay. Verokin is surrounded by flames. The flames crackled in the humid air. The observer asks, Brother, is there a problem? He replies, No, never mind. Seems like I could make it in time after all. Looks like you won't need my backup. What? He realizes, that flame, Crash's fire burns even stronger than mine. That sword could actually slay the thousand-faced demon. He recalls his recent failure. In an instant, I lost my subordinates. I barely survived that creature, losing all my knights while running in shame. His eyes widen. If Crash defeats the thousand-faced demon, then that means the thousand-faced demon reels from the blow, shocked that Crash is stronger than him. I'm weaker than that failure? But Crash's fiery blade continues its descent. The blade cleaves straight through the demon. The flames erupt, consuming the thousand-faced demon. The scene shifts to a peaceful landscape as Arthur calls out, Brother. Crash stands victorious, the demon vanquished. It's done. Crash wipes the sweat from his brow, a disbelieving grin spreading across his face. Just like that. Over so easily. He raises his sword, ready to strike again. His expression hardens. Then die. But as he attempts to summon Ignis, nothing happens. Why can't I use Ignis? Thanks, Verokin. Crash's eyes gleam with dark amusement. For never changing. The scene shifts to a flashback, where a voice explains, Verokin's unlock conditions were simple. First, willingly hand over part of Ignis to. Secondly, Verokin had to believe that his opponent could wield Ignis better than himself. And finally, his pride had to collapse. The memory concludes with the explanation. The moment I struck with my blade, Ignis became mine. Verokin cries out in pain. Crash looks down at his fallen foe. Verokin. Crash recalls, I used to want to get along with you and the others. Don't meddle where you're not wanted, you'd say. He hardens his gaze. It was never possible. Your constant hostility made sure of that. Crash's sword is pressed against Verokin's throat, the tip glowing with dark energy. Still, I thought just this once you might finally accept me as your brother. Crash looks down, a flicker of disappointment in his eyes. Even so, I held on to a faint hope that since we are siblings they might finally acknowledge me this time, but it seems you never had that option to begin with. Verokin lies on the ground, defeated. Hurts, doesn't it? Crash's expression hardens as he recalls the past. When you burned my arm and face back then, I writhe on the ground just like you are now. Crash raises his foot, preparing to deliver a final blow. He stands over the fallen Verokin, the landscape around them silent. Crash looks up at the sky, the demon horns on his head glinting in the light. Heh, what an ironically beautiful day for this. The messenger relays the grim report. Lord Verokin's entire unit, wiped out, at Valheim's main estate. The situation was even worse than initially feared. The erosion was reclassified as rank 5. They said it required an upper-class expert to suppress. The messenger continues. If Lord Verokin hadn't sacrificed himself, Lord Crash wouldn't have survived either. What does that mean? Another man is outraged. Only the failure survived, but Valheim's head butler silences him. Watch your tongue, servant. Lord Verokin died protecting his brothers. Honor that sacrifice. Butler issues a stern warning. Do not waste Lord Verokin's noble death. Crash considered his next steps. They believe the testimony, so I don't need to worry about suspicion. He stood in the opulent hall. Thanks to Verokin, this mission yielded big results. Crash delved into the depths of his power. I've fully adapted to extreme blood immersion. I confirmed that my sixth sense can partly control the resulting rampage. And through Ignis, I gained the power of black flame. Ignis can burn anything. Crash examined the dark energy crackling in his palm. So when it touched the essence of world erosion itself, this was the result. The black flames are far more powerful than expected, perfect as a trump card. The color might look ominous, but no one needs to know. Now, the only remaining issue with the main house is. Crash approached the door, his mind already on the next problem. Also, the problem that must be resolved at the head family is only to undergo an investigation regarding the abnormal phenomena in the world-corroded lands. A voice called out, inviting Crash to enter. Come in. So far, the cause remains unknown at this hour. The voice continued, revealing the truth. When the truth is the work of the world invader, its true body slumbers in endless dreams and can only observe reality through its servants, the undying. The speaker elaborated on the implications. The fact that they have already started their activities means we might encounter the subordinates of the undead anytime soon. You came, Lord Crash. A woman with a star-shaped clip in her hair greeted Crash formally. We've been expecting you. Sakira, 4th class investigator, Erosion Survey Bureau. Sakira noticed something unusual about Crash. That black star above you. To think we'd meet again so soon. Huh. Crash, unfazed, addressed the unseen force directly. Hey, Undying, I want to make a deal with you. Crash pointed a finger, a sinister grin spreading across his face. I'll erase your immortality for you. The Undying's eyes narrowed, a sinister smile barely visible. Tell me, are you the regressor? The Undying continued, a hint of disappointment in their voice. I was searching for something else entirely, but it seems destiny has sent me to the wrong man. The Undying's true form is located in the Crimson Garden August, bound by chains. Crash recalls his past attempt to steal the Undying's immortality under Arthur's orders. But that attempt ended in failure. Now, Crash explains, the Undying can only barely maintain his own regeneration, and won't have power left to control his servants. Crash continues, explaining that the reason the Undying commanded so many underlings was because his true body was cursed, unable to move, which makes him sound pitiful. One of the women scoffs, asking if Crash forgot how the Undying made their erosion zones rank up and cause them hell. Crash waves a hand dismissively. Don't act all righteous now. Lady Sigrin, I didn't mean it that way. Lady Sigrin clasped her hands together, relieved. Either way, the Undying problem's over. No more pointless fighting. The Undying's eye narrowed. But it's a shame. Crash chuckled, scratching his head. You couldn't steal immortality after all. Ha, yeah, true enough. His expression turned serious. Even if I were reborn, that one's impossible. He explained the problem. Because the condition was absolutely impossible. Unlock condition. Be stronger than the Undying. The Undying's grin widened, his eyes gleaming with interest. Tell me, are you the regressor? Undying's face contorts into a sinister grin. I was searching for someone else entirely. Crash stares back, unflinching. A regressor, huh? What makes you think I'm one? The Undying's expression is one of amusement. The moment a mere child dares propose a deal to someone like me, you make it obvious. Only a regressor would dare that. The Undying continues to taunt Crash. You're trapped in your endless time loop, are you not? I am? To kill me, one who transcends time itself? Don't make me laugh out loud. Transparent lie. Crash's eyes glow with power as he denies the accusation. It's no lie. Crash prepares to use his ability. My skill. Crash declares that he can even steal the Undying's immortality with Blackhood. The Undying's fist clenches. She reveals that she's been raising Ichirosion's rank for centuries. The Undying explains that she did it just to find someone capable of killing her, and now the one able to steal the curse of immortality finally stands before her, so she asks what Crash's condition is. Crash proposes that she help him get stronger, because his skill only activates if he's stronger than her. He asks her to make him her apprentice. Crimson Garden August is willing to sell her soul if it means she'll be freed from immortality. Very well. I, Crimson Garden August, make you the strongest man alive, she declares, her projection towering over Crash. Even as a projection, Crash feels the overwhelming aura of Crimson Garden. Crimson Garden commanded strength rivaling Arthur and commanded legions of servants. With her help, Crash knows he can become even stronger, even if he has to borrow the power of an invader. He vows to protect the world from erosion and its destruction. A skill is a unique power possessed by only one person in the world. According to that rule, Arthur's regression skill returned to him in this lifetime, meaning it's impossible for Crash to regress again by his own will. If this world perishes again in this era, Crimson Garden August's projection begins to fade as Crash declares he'll vanish with her, adding that he was so glad to have her with him, calling her Crim. Crimson Garden August can only manage to say his name, Crash. Crash demands she call him Master, and Crimson Garden August is clearly not happy about it. With the exchange complete, Crimson Garden August is finally able to leave the place, but Crash is confused when she asks if he doesn't live here. She explains that she hasn't been here in years and can barely remember her parents' faces anymore, revealing they are in Valheim Manor, Adult's Wing, Valkyrie Hall, and that Lord Crash's mother resents his presence. Crash is surprised to hear that his mother does, since she never showed her face back when he lived at Blue Pine Hall, musing that maybe she heard rumors that he's changed, and got curious. The Undying continues, adding that the family head gained stature from the resident in the domain, and intends to meet Crash personally. Crash is surprised. Father, wants to see me? He's ascended to a semi-divine state. The Undying explains that perhaps his father sensed something from him through the stars, and Lady Arya asks that he remain here at the main estate until that time. Crash is clearly not happy about this. But Bianca's waiting for me, and I already have my hands full. I can't afford to waste time here. Crash states that if this wasn't an order from his father himself, he'll be heading back for now, but then he suddenly stops. Crash decides he'll return when his father summons him again, or maybe Crash decided that his father would come to him himself. The scene shifts to a view of the city. Crash kicks his feet up in the air, relieved to be free of that place. Finally, I'm free of that place. I don't plan to go back for a while. Mind your manners before apprentice open the door. He turns to Crim. Crim, don't you think your crimson hue stands out a bit too much? Crim replies, relax. I can change my color any time I want. See? I look just like a crow now, don't I? Crash retorts, yeah, black as your soul. What a charming personality you have. Crim, in his crow form, asks about Crash's main body, adding, you know I can't move my actual body. You really are unpleasant. Such a mean-spirited regressor. Crash thinks to himself that the real regressor is Arthur, and he only borrowed Arthur's skill, making him a half-finished regressor at best. He decides there's no need to explain that to Crim. The scene cuts to a carriage traveling towards Blue Pine Hall. Crash tells Crim that there's a white chick at Blue Pine Hall and to be nice to her. The crow seems confused by the term chick. A young girl with white hair greets Crash, saying, welcome back, Crash. See? You told you'd return. Crash is greeted by Ariad, who exclaims, Lord Crash. He then asks if anything happened while he was away. Ariad informs him that a letter arrived from Master Darling. Crash reads a letter with a puzzled expression. The letter reads, I've completed the cure for discoloration disease you asked for. It practically brewed itself while I was thinking of you. I'll deliver it soon. From Darkening. They say geniuses are often eccentric. Ariad tells Crash, when Darling Danforline arrives, treat him with utmost care, he'll be your benefactor. Crash replies, understood, sir. Ariad adds, by the way, Lady Bianca has been very worried about you. Crash is surprised. Bianca? Ariad explains, yes. When she heard you got caught in the erosion, she immediately prepared a carriage, intending to visit you at the manor herself because they were trying to go all the way to the main house. Crash's eyes narrow. I haven't checked the lock on Bianca's curse in a while, but don't tell me. The first unlock condition was to become Bianca's friend. A hooded figure with piercing eyes looks on. Suddenly, a notification appeared. Bianca's first lock has been released. The first unlock condition was to become Bianca's friend. The condition was met. The curse shifted, ready to reveal the first key. Unlock complete. Bianca's first key is. Crash looked on in anticipation. It's unlocked? Bianca tilted her head, a raven perched on her shoulder. Is there something on my face? Crash waved his hands dismissively. No. I just wanted to introduce you to a new friend. Crash gestured towards the raven. His name is Cream. Raven stared with glowing red eyes. Bianca looked at the bird curiously. Cream. The raven, Cream, seemed harmless enough, but he did have a certain presence. He's as soft as whipped cream. The conversation shifted to the upcoming tournament. The Empire was likely using that tournament for political gain against the Academy, and if a Valheim participated, things would get messy. But not to worry, Arthur had a plan. Of course I have a plan, darling. Leave it to this genius. No fufu. He held out a small vial. Drink this. Crash looked at the vial suspiciously. What is this? It's transparent. Am I supposed to drink it? He downed the mysterious liquid, and something immediately happened. Crash, now a girl, is in shock. What the hell is this? He stares in disbelief at the potion in his hand, now shaped like a female symbol. Arthur's logic is simple. Anyone can join the tournament, as long as your identity isn't revealed, right? All you have to do is join the tournament as a. Arthur hugs the transformed Crash tightly. Girl, Crash. Stop it. Change me back. Meanwhile, Cream the Raven watches with glowing red eyes. Raven speaks. Hey, Crash, now a girl, glares menacingly, purple energy crackling around her hands. Are you messing with me? She demands. Bianca, looking up at her with wide, tearful eyes, stammers, sorry. A thought bubble appears. I'm sorry. Arthur hugs the bird tightly. So you do like animals, Bianca. The raven watches with glowing red eyes. Ha. Crash, still in his female form, suddenly asks by the way. He continues, how do I unlock the second lock? He finishes, chains and purple energy swirling around a stylized padlock. The answer appears. Second unlock condition, become Bianca's friend. A thought bubble appears, stating usually, when you say important person, the thought continues, showing images of parents and children. The system suggests friends, or perhaps lovers. Crash muses, well, I'm technically her fiancé, so I guess lover is the closest. He trails off. Suddenly, a giant bird monster swoops down towards Krim. Krim stares intensely. But becoming lovers with the emotionless Bianca? The conditions weren't like this before I regressed. Besides, I'm an adult on the inside. Being on a 12-year-old is a bit. A bird lands on Crash's head. Looks like that pale girl took a liking to you. She wouldn't let go. Someone comments she must have really liked him. Anyway, Crash. What is it? A dark voice booms out. I want to test your strength. Playtime is over. Let's head to the training grounds. Crash's eyes widen, a bead of sweat trickling down his face. Pressure is on. He sighs. Fine. Pitiful. The Undying's bird-like head looms over the scene. Crash screams, his body falling to the ground. To think a regressor. The screen fills with static. Would have such garbage talent. Crash lies defeated among the rubble. I told you. I'm a total failure. The Undying continues, right now, you've barely crawled your way up here using your past experiences and secret techniques. Above, the ceiling crumbles, more debris falling. She continues, but that effort will be overtaken by a true genius in less than 5 years. Black feathers drift down as the Undying speaks. However, Undying's face fills the frame, her red eyes gleaming. That's only if we're talking about pure talent. The Undying's words echo in Crash's mind, a promise of power. Talent is meaningless before me. She continues, her voice laced with dark promise. Because, you have your skill, don't you? A vision of a younger Crash appears, looking dejected. If you lack talent, just steal it from everyone else. The Undying's offer hangs in the air, a lifeline to the boy who felt he was drowning. You, who never could have escaped the rock bottom of the production line, I'll be the one to pull you up. The words paint a picture of unimaginable ascent. You'll seize everything from a place higher than the clouds. A clawed hand reaches down, ready to claim Crash. The Undying makes a bold claim, daring Crash to steal even my immortality. Crash, still seated with the red chicken, looks up at the Undying, her clawed hand reaching towards him. He smirks, a confident glint in his eyes. Above him, a voice booms, well, that goes without saying. The scene shifts to a view of a gate, under the moonlight. The gate sits firmly shut. A few days later, Arthur bounces into view, full of energy. He calls out, hey, hey. Arthur approaches Crash, asking, did I keep you waiting, honey? Crash retorts, since when did I become your honey? Arthur recoils dramatically. Woe's so cold. He recovers quickly, grinning mischievously. Anyway, did you bring what I asked for? Hee hee. Arthur proudly announces, ta-da. He holds up a small glass bottle containing a swirling, dark substance. It's finished. Arthur beams, eager for praise. What do you think? Am I a genius or what? Crash looks at the bottle in Arthur's hand, a flicker of curiosity in his eyes. Crash responds dryly, why state the obvious? You've always been a genius. Arthur tilts his head, a glint in his eye. Oh, in a chibi scuffle, Arthur clings to the other, who shouts, whoa, cut it out. Arthur releases his grip, his expression shifting as if remembering something. Oh, right. I wanted to tell you about this. Arthur's eyes widen, excitement bubbling up. Apparently, Annex has changed. The other character grits his teeth, looking frustrated. Arthur continues, relaying the gossip. He stopped training after losing to Charlotte. The cursed man reaches out, surrounded by a sickly green aura. But I heard he started again after that incident at the Star Sanctuary. Did that traitor actually inspired by me? He grits his teeth. Damn it. I don't care about Annex. If we're done here. A raven perched on a branch squawks. Just go home. But Starlon had other things in mind besides Valheim. No. Raven stares intently. It's alright. I was planning to use an elixir to strengthen that weak body of yours anyway. Ask that man with the alchemy star to brew some elixirs for you. Arthur, with a slight pout, urges, come on. The screen highlights the information. A special medicine that increases physical stats and aura upon consumption. Elixir. They are extremely expensive, and sometimes secret brewing techniques are passed down through family lines. Elixirs were only meant for a select few. Those were way out of my league back then. Arthur plants a kiss on Crash's cheek, but Crash is too focused on something else. Hey, what are you doing? An unseen presence declares. I know the formula. Just tell him what to do. There's something else to look forward to before the tournament. Arthur is confused. You just told me to go home earlier. Huh, Crash suddenly declares. I want you to make an elixir. Arthur is taken aback by the sudden request. What? So sudden? Did the news about Annex fire you up? Arthur, concerned about the cost, asks. But can you afford the materials? Valheim won't back you, right? Crash looks up, determined. Don't worry, I'll figure it out. He resolves to find a way. I can manage if I use my knowledge from before the regression. Suddenly, an unseen presence speaks up. Just repeat after me. Crash looks off to the side, listening intently to the voice. The voice begins to list the components. The ingredients for the elixir are. Arthur and Crash continued their discussion about the ingredients for the elixir. Arthur looked at Crash, seemingly waiting for more information. Crash paused, gathering his thoughts. Arthur, holding a pen over a notebook, asked, So, I do this with that, and then this goes like that. The crow tilted its head, listening in. Whoa, where did you get this kind of info? The crow continued, It's a secret formula passed down in the Valheim family, as expected of the Valheims. Arthur, consulting his notebook, admitted, I'd love to try, but he paused. The problem was how to get the materials. Arthur sighed. I can't even get my hands on this snow heat sun fungus or golden dragon herb. He explained, first, the snow heat fungus grows in Hardened Hearts, but the mountains are steep and the erosion is bad, so it's almost impossible to find. Crash realized something and declared, I'll ask my fiancée about that. He remembered that her family home is in Hardened Hearts. Oh, right, then that leaves the golden dragon herb. It's a phantom herb said to only grow near the nests of golden dragons in the remote regions of the Empire. A majestic, rocky landscape filled with dragon statues and golden herbs filled the view. Arthur considered their options. We might be able to buy it from the black market. 2 guards stood in the background. But if the Empire finds out, it'll be a huge pain. Arthur resolved, if there's no other way, I'll just have to hunt down a black market dealer. Krim looked annoyed, tapping his finger impatiently. Suddenly a voice boomed, Let me tell you about a better way. Arthur looked surprised. A different way? The voice explained. There's a junior martial arts tournament held in the Athenia Empire for those under 15. The speaker continued, Just take first place there. The voice finished. The reward for that tournament is the golden dragon herb. What do you think? Good idea, right? Did you forget? I'm a Valheim. Crash looked thoughtful, considering the implications of this new information.